We have organized the following rules for this evening's event. First and foremost, the sound is going to get wonky if we leave our mics on. So when you're done talking, if you can make sure to turn your mic off, that'll prevent feedback. So Amanda is going to lead off introductions. Every candidate is going to have a 2-minute opening statement to introduce yourself. Then Amanda and I are going to go through a series of questions. Each candidate will have up to 90 seconds to respond. The gentlemen at the table have a timer and a little ding-dong bell that we had a great time with before this began. So hopefully we don't have to ding you, but we will. And so as we want to ask everybody to keep this kind and to simply speak from your platform. We're hoping we're not going to have to break up any arguments or fights. But we have a game plan for that. So without further ado, Amanda, do you want to run through the roster and have people introduce themselves? I also wanted, before we get started, I wanted to acknowledge Michael Lamb is planning to come. He had an event. He's let us know that he's on his way, and so he's going to come in and jump in whenever he gets here.
Well, it's my distinct honor and privilege to introduce you. We know how difficult it is to be an elected official, and we appreciate your willingness to run for this position. So tonight we have with us Dave Fawcett, the former member of Allegheny County Council, Sarah Innamorato, State Representative, Michael Lamb will be here. He's the Pittsburgh City Controller. Will Parker is a businessman, as is Joe Rocky. And John Weinstein is the Allegheny County Treasurer. Thank you so much. So we want to start, we'll start with you, Dave, if you don't mind, and ask for 2 minutes. And if you could frame your introductory remarks around your vision for the Mon Valley and Eastern suburbs, with you as the role of County Executive, we appreciate that.
Well, great. Thank you. Thank you all for coming out. Really great attendance and an important event. So, look, my vision for this area is the same as my vision for all our, what I'll call river towns up and down the rivers in Pittsburgh, where you suffered industrial decline. And I think we need a couple of things. We need to make these areas, again, attractive to people, and there's many, many ways to do that. We need to create jobs, and we need to keep them here. And I can't wait to talk to you about that. And then we have to remember this. We live in one of the most beautiful cities in the world because of our riverfronts and our hillsides and our beautiful, beautiful city. And here, and up and down all the rivers, if we make some changes and allow people to, including young people, to live here and have some renewed manufacturing here, these are going to be awesome places. They really are. We have tons of challenges now, but we have tons of opportunity. So I've been involved in riverfront development for a couple seconds. Oh, you got a timer up there. I've been involved in riverfront development. I'm an attorney and handled lawsuits across the country. And I think the thing that I bring to the table is real life experience. I'm not a career politician, although I was on the county council for a couple of terms. And I get things done. And I think the skills that I have as a lawyer will apply well here. So that means being tough when you have to, and fighting when you have to, and negotiating solutions when you have to, and when it's in the interest of everyone. So that's what I want to do as county executive. Really great being here, and I really appreciate everyone's attendance. Thanks.
Great, good evening, and I want to echo my gratitude. Thank you for being here, but also thank you for serving in your communities. So my name is Sarah Innamorato. I'm a state representative, and I was walking around when we first got here. Someone asked me, well, why do you want to leave the State House and be county executive? And I thought about this quite a bit, right? And I believe that this position is the ultimate doer position. And my mission in being an elected official is ensuring that we can create spaces in a region, in a state, where we can all thrive. And we know that that's not the case. You all see that in your communities every day. There are cracks in our public foundation. And what does that look like? It looks like increased gun violence. It looks like homelessness. It looks like blight. It looks like increases in overdoses. And I say those things because I know what it's like to fall through the cracks. I grew up in the North Hills, and when I was a teenager, we found out my dad was addicted to opioids. He lost his life due to addiction, and my mom, my sister, and I, we lost our financial stability, we lost our home. And it's that lived experience that I take and I believe is my most valuable asset as an elected official, is that ability to connect with people and understand the pain and suffering when government doesn't act as a force for good in people's lives. As a state rep, I have been effective, I have been collaborative, I solve people's problems every day. I work with my municipalities to bring back money to fix bridges and roads and build libraries. And I look forward to sharing more with you tonight and hearing what your questions are.
Hello, everybody. I'm sorry it's a little late here tonight. I'm Michael Lamb. I'm the city controller in Pittsburgh, and I welcome the opportunity to talk about the issues facing your communities. I grew up in a little neighborhood in the Beachview section of Pittsburgh, one of those places where everybody knew everybody. You know, my parents took watch out for the kids on our street. Their parents looked out for us, and when you grow up somewhere like that, you learn a sense of responsibility early on. And not just responsibility for yourself, but responsibility for your community. And for us growing up, that was instilled even further at home. My mother mainly, who would say, look around, there's something you can do. And when you didn't have something to do, she'd make suggestions on things that you should be doing to help your neighborhood. And so it was natural for me when I got out of college at Penn State to choose a career in public service. And I've worked every day since then trying to make government work better for the people it serves. And I've done that in a bunch of capacities. You know, we wouldn't be sitting here talking right now about the county exec's race if we didn't make that bold leap 25 years ago to create this new government. I led that effort. You know, I led the effort to create the county exec's office, the county council, and then later, 5 years later, to push forward the row officer reform, even though I was one of those row officers. And it meant the elimination of my own job, because it was the right thing to do for this community. And that's what I bring to the table in this race. You know, it's not just about vision, it's about vision, but also the ability to act on that vision. It's not about just talking about problems, it's about solving problems. You know, we're going to transform this government. It's going to take big ideas, and big ideas take big experience. And that's what I bring to this race. Oh, my time's up. So I'm willing to, I'm happy to talk more about this as we go on tonight. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. My name is William Parker. I want to stand up because if I'm elected, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stand up for you, each and every one of you. I decided to get in this race because I want to make sure that nobody is left behind. Nobody. And it really speaks volumes when I sit in front of a community of people who care about others, you know, and that's why you're here. And I want to thank all of you for coming out today and talking and gathering with each other to share your ideas, share your concerns for your communities, because it shows that you care, and I care. That's why I'm here. But you know, areas like Turtle Creek, areas like Wilberding, areas like Wilkins Township, you know, they're not mentioned enough when out of the 130 municipalities in Allegheny County. As when I first came into this building today, I met woman over here at the table, and she told me, you know, in Wilberding, you're one of the last communities to get investments when the investments come to this Turtle Creek Council of Governments. And that has to change. We got to think from the bottom up, not the top down. We need to remember that people come first, and their concerns come first, no matter how small they are, how big. We got to put the little guy back on top, or the little woman, however you want to phrase it. But I'm really here. I'm from the north side of Pittsburgh. My background is in delivery. I'm a mobile app developer. And that's what I want to do. I want to bring my experience as in a delivery business and deliver for you. Thank you.
Someone? Yeah. So hi, I'm Joe Rocky, and let me begin by just saying thank you for inviting me. I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak with all of you tonight. For those who don't know my background, I spent 25 years with PNC, culminating as their Chief Risk Officer, which, don't throw anything at me, it's Silicon Valley Bank didn't have a Chief Risk Officer, and that's one of the reasons why they have the problems they had. So, but, you know, I'm here because when I left PNC, I didn't leave to quit working. I actually left so I could start working for the people of Allegheny County. And if you look at my background and you look at the volunteer stuff that I've done, the various things that I've supported over the years of my career, whether it's Little Sisters of the Poor or Ronald McDonald House, you know, Buchanan University, you know, I'm on about a half a dozen active boards where I'm involved in the community trying to make a difference every day. And I've been doing that since I was in my 30s. I too grew up on the north side, and I know what blight is, right? My father got sick when I was 5 years old. And, you know, we were a family that was financially challenged. I know what it means to go shopping with food stamps. I know what it means to go to a Dairy Queen and have them tell you as a 12-year-old that food stamps aren't accepted here, young man, while all your friends are buying ice cream. So I understand the difficulty of what economic challenges bring. And I am entering this race because it is about the economy. And even in your own graphic of the cycle of life, you begin with saying that industry has left. And what we need to do for this community and for all of Allegheny County is get business back to Allegheny County so we have a place to build from and actually stop the cycle that you have put together, a very accurate cycle of what's going to happen. When you don't have jobs, you're going to lead to having blight in your community. So thank you very much for having me.
Good evening, everyone. I'm John Weinstein, and I want to thank Ann and Amanda and everyone for putting this event together this evening. I've been blessed to be the treasurer of this great county for the past 25 years. I've been elected 6 consecutive times countywide, and I'm very proud of the record that we've accomplished over those past 2.5 decades. And I had a lot of thought put into running for county executive or running for county treasurer and running for election. And I have twins. I have a little boy and a little girl. Some of you may have seen them in the television commercials. And they were the motivation that I had to run for county executive. I'm worried about our children. I'm worried about my children and your children and our grandchildren. And I'm worried about where we're going in the trajectory of Allegheny County. And I'm worried about how we can help keep our kids here. 60% of the children, they graduate from college in Allegheny County. We have great colleges and universities here. 60% leave Western Pennsylvania to go find a job somewhere else. I don't think that's a statistic we should be very proud of. I have been to the Mon Valley for many, many years, the past 25 years. I don't need a map west to find the communities in this valley. I was at an event a couple of weeks ago in Elizabeth. The gentleman came up to me and he said, Mr. Weinstein, he said, how long have there been county executives? I said, well, we've been going on 25 years. He goes, we've never seen a county executive in Elizabeth in 25 years. Thank you for coming down. I said, well, you're going to see quite a bit of it. I appreciate the chance to be here, and I look forward to an interesting conversation this evening. Thank you so much.
So we are going to move on with our first question, and we're going to rotate who starts. So in this first question, Ms. Murata will be the first person to respond, and then we'll go around, and everybody will get a chance to start. Okay. So the Allegheny County market value analysis revealed that those making less than 50% of the county's median income are concentrated within our footprint. That's around $17,000 a year. Think about that. They live in our footprint because they can't afford to live in other parts of the county. Even if they wanted to, they can't afford to rent or housing. At the same time, local governments still have to provide basic governmental services like law enforcement, public works, fire services, flood prevention and remediation. How can a county support services in places where property tax and earned income tax cannot generate the revenue necessary to do it alone? Ms. Mona?
This is quite a challenge, right? Whenever we see communities that concentrate wealth or concentrate poverty, it leaves it as a deficit. So we have vibrant communities where we can have mixed income, mixed in diversity. I think, you all are a part of a mechanism that is going to be absolutely necessary when we're looking at these challenges, which is the COGs. Right now, you are all fighting over the same pots of money, and we, as the county, working in partnership with state and federal electeds, need to be able to draw down more money and support the cross-municipal collaboration that you all already investing in to help, save time, money, and resources and share manpower across the necessary the necessary things that you need to provide and you're obligated to provide to the people who elect you into positions and the people that you represent in your communities. So a lot of this is going to just have to continue collaboration and work intergovernmentally.
So my idea is to create an Office of Municipal Partnership in the county where we're working every day with every municipality in this county to deliver value-added services to every community across Allegheny County. And there are a number of areas that we can focus on. I mean, obviously, public safety. The emergency response that you receive should not depend on what boundary you just crossed. And so, enabling greater resources into these communities, creating an infrastructure bank, a municipal infrastructure bank, where we would have municipalities who have projects, present them to the county, to the bank, so that we could bundle those projects across municipalities, get better rates. We see this in other counties across Pennsylvania where they're able to get deals below 1% on these deals, so that it really is another avenue for us to be able to invest in infrastructure. And particularly in the communities that are represented here tonight, the idea of creating a revolving development fund and what I would call a river communities authority, where through a memorandum of understanding with all municipalities, these river towns, to create a revolving development fund that will be funded in part by the county and part by philanthropic organizations to really start to deal with a lot of the blight and a lot of the other industrial sites around the community. My time's up. Thank you.
So, I believe, I'm sorry, just to refresh my memory, the question was about generating income and taking the burden off of the costs.
Well, I think the point is that people who are very poor and probably have issues like maybe they're disabled or they've been trapped in a cycle of poverty are concentrated in some, not all, in some of our communities. And because because public services are predicated on revenue that comes from a tax base, when you don't have that tax base and you don't have the earned income revenue coming in, as county executive, how could you support these towns for just basic governmental services?
Okay. So I would like to bring in, I think it's all about increasing our economic development. I believe that we need to get some more manufacturing in this area. You know, there's a lot of blighted areas, you know, there's like the land up here in Norfolk Sales where I believe it used to be like, what was that, the east or western Eastern Mall area. My personal plan would be to bring some type of auto manufacturing facility to the area where we get involved with like developing, manufacturing car parts, technology, chips, microchips. We need to use this land and use this to build office space, to utilize more of it, just a manufacturer to increase the revenue in this area so that the taxes that come from that manufacturing or businesses in the area can be given, passed down to the government, and the government can therefore give the money to the people in need who aren't getting the proper resources. So that would be my idea. It would be to increase economic development and manufacturing in these blighted areas.
Thank you. I'm going to break this into a couple pieces. The first piece is you need to act on the now. And so, as the question alludes to, there is a problem right now. And so, what I would start by doing is creating across the county an opportunity for areas to consolidate their activities in a voluntary manner to a certain standard. So, whatever the public services are that every community should have at a certain standard, that the county would allow communities to come together, consolidate those activities, and top off where necessary to get to that minimum standard. Because when your tax base erodes, you shouldn't have a lower standard for things like policing or garbage collection or the other basic needs, just because your tax base happens to be the one that eroded. So you start by creating an opt-in. Some municipalities will choose not to opt in, but the ones that do, you offer and deliver to them a consistent standard. And the second thing is infrastructure. And what I would do on infrastructure, I completely agree with you, it's about jobs. But what we have to do is go fight for our piece of the most recently passed infrastructure bill and use it to create space that is ready for business to show up. The state of Virginia has spent $500 million over the last 2 years just preparing land for corporations to come and put their business there. That's what we need to do in the Mon Valley. Have it ready to go. By the way, the infrastructure bill will create the jobs right now while we're preparing for it.
Okay, thank you. The basic services that are provided by the municipalities need help. And the county needs to partner with the municipalities to provide that help. The police, fire, ambulance service, whatever it may be, public works, we need to utilize the resources of Allegheny County to help. Public safety is a huge issue, countywide. There are shootings happening every day, different parts of the city and the county. When we need help, the county needs to be there to help. The city of McKeesport needs additional police, the county should send the police. When the chief was killed in Brackenridge, they only had 4 police officers in the municipality of Brackenridge. They lost 1 from the homicide. That's 25% of the police force. The county police sent to Brackenridge to patrol and to keep the people safe. Public safety is a huge issue, and we need to focus on that countywide. I want to partner with every municipality, it's not just in this room, but throughout the entire county, and to develop a program for what you need and how we can supply that for you. Thank you.
Okay, so the question is, how does the county and the county executive bring more resources here? And look, this consolidation and cooperation is good. It can be a step in the right direction, but that doesn't solve the problem. We need big investments, and we need investments from the county coming into this region and into these places that most need it. So let me give you a couple specific examples. First of all, in terms of, I agree with making pad-ready sites really super important. That's what they did in Rochester, New York, and Columbus, Ohio, and they're getting chip manufacturing. We need to do that. We need to do that. Secondly, sort of county-wide money. When I was on the council, I called for the creation of a county-wide riverfront park, which would be big infrastructure dollars coming in that would help us revive all of the old mill towns and industrial sites along all the rivers. And I'm going to talk to you about that further. And what's another source of funding for these regions? Our mass transportation, our PRT. Hey, we need great bus service and transit here. What do you have here right now? You got one line that zigzags all over like they do from my river town into town, and you got a couple that go straight in and out. A couple. That's not proper. So it's taking these pots of money that are generated countywide and applying them here as a priority where they're most needed.
Thank you. Our next question is specifically about blight. So we've spent, even in your opening remarks, a lot of time talking about the problem of vacant, blighted, and abandoned properties. We've spent a lot of money looking at it. I think we all acknowledge that there's a vicious cycle, and unfortunately, the communities that are most challenged by blight are often the least funded to tackle it. For reference, in our footprint, we have 42% of the blight in Allegheny County, taking into account the city of Pittsburgh. If you pull the city's blight out of the equation, we have 60% of the blighted properties in the donut. The Tri-COG land bank was created to steward unoccupied, abandoned properties back to productive use. What is your strategy to fight blight? What role do you think the Tri-COG land bank and other land banks could and should play? And how should Allegheny County support that role? With this one, we will start with Michael Lamb. Thank you, Mr. Lamb.
Thank you very much. So, in the town halls that I've done in every direction in this county, this issue comes up. The issue of housing and the issue of blighted properties, abandoned properties. And it's a problem that goes across every community. And you're right, it's particularly troublesome in the communities that you represent. And what we need to do is we need to find a way to more effectively and more efficiently bring marketable title back to these properties, right? So when you've got an abandoned property, if it's on your street and you want to buy it, well, good luck, because it's upside down with liens. It's going to take you years to get those liens taken care of, even when you have a local government who wants to help you. And so one of the things we need to do, and I've been advocating this for 20 years now, is we need to create a county-wide tax lien bureau. That will help expedite the process of clearing title, bringing marketable title to those properties, and then allowing the land bank and the community groups to develop or sell those properties, or individuals to buy those properties. I mean, that has to be the focus. We've got to find a more expeditious way of clearing title on these properties so that the land banks and others. The land bank here does a phenomenal job. It needs to be funded to a greater degree than it is. That's not true for all the land banks, including the one in the city of Pittsburgh. But we need to fund land banks like this when they're doing great work.
So my resolution would be to promote home ownership. From my understanding and other events that I've attended, a lot of people told me there's a high percentage of renters in these areas. So we want to create some incentives and invest in people, offer tax breaks to people who are interested in home ownership, who are interested in obtaining these blight properties, rehabbing them, and living in them. Not just to rehab them, to flip them and sell them, but we want to get them in there to build generational wealth. We want to get them on a tax bracket so they can start being productive back to their community. But my idea is just to promote home ownership. We need more home owners in the area, because overall, we want people to stay and remain in this county. We don't want them moving into different areas, because at any time the landlord can raise the rent depending on what the market value is in the area. So if we get more people interested in home ownership and give them some type of incentive to tackle this issue, that would be my suggestion. Thank you.
So let me begin. You'll find I talk in very practical terms and things that can be done. And I tend to speak in 1, 2, 3. Do 1, do 2, do 3. So let me do that. First, let me begin by saying the fact that we've got 100 has proven the ability to do this. And we live in a world today where affordable housing is the biggest challenge to home ownership, to what Will just talked about. And so we have properties that are sitting there that aren't being utilized, aren't being maintained, that are actually deteriorating while we wait to take ownership. And the number one thing that's standing in the way of doing that is finance. And so what I would do if I was county executive is I would create a bond financing to create the dollars necessary to take those properties and reinvigorate them, to put them back on the rolls. It would begin by taking ownership, as you guys do, but doing it in an accelerated manner, and then having bond funding available to rehabilitate those properties, to put them back, as Will said, available for home ownership, to go after the affordable housing challenge we have as a community today. And by doing that, by the way, you can fund the bond. So if someone's out there, how are you going to fund the bond, Joe? Well, all of these things will end up back on the tax rolls. And a revenue bond that is based upon the incremental tax that we gain upon those properties is exactly how we would fund getting the bonds, the funds, to get the properties back in place. So it's about getting money. And then the second thing about me, real quick, is you have to support the people who are in the homes today. So the home lending program that the Allegheny County does offer, we've got to make sure people are aware of it and are utilizing it.
I want to take blighted properties and turn them into affordable housing, countywide. And the two ways that we do that are a countywide land bank that we model off of what you guys have done here, and the tax lien bureau. I'm in agreement with the controller on creating a countywide tax lien bureau, because this is how we expedite blighted property and put it back on the tax rolls. Right now, it takes thousands of dollars to take a property to the sheriff's sale, and an exorbitant amount of time. If we could create a tax lien bureau legislatively, that process is streamlined, immensely streamlined, and the cost is $500 to maybe $1,500 to take a property to a tax sale through a tax lien bureau. We could take those blighted properties, redevelop them, and create affordable housing throughout Allegheny County, not just in the Mon Valley, but in the Allegheny Valley, anywhere else that's necessary in the city of Pittsburgh, everywhere we can do this, countywide. And I think it's a fantastic opportunity for us, utilizing the talent and the experience that we have to change the dynamics of the blighted property problem and affordable housing at the same time.
These are all really great answers. It's almost like someone knew the question was coming. But seriously, the work that you're doing relative to blight is great. And look, all of our river towns and old industrial towns talk about what's the commonality. Well, we do have existing housing stock, which is really great. And so now when we clear out the properties that need to be cleared, and we're preserving our existing housing stock, that's an awesome investment. And when you combine that with other investments that the county can make, like a countywide riverfront park that would run from county line to county line with bridge connections, and it would help cause a resurgence in all these towns. Now you make this more livable, and your efforts towards eliminating blight and taking over homes really comes home with rewards and returns on your investment. When you invest in mass transportation and you make it livable, and when you invest in sites for industry to come, now you're talking. Because these properties that you work for to put in a position where someone can buy them at an affordable price, that's what's going to be a key ingredient to the resurgence of this area.
So we know the land bank is an extremely valuable tool. So as county executive, we need to get creative on how we get pots of money to fund such a necessary tool. So that's going to take interagency collaboration across Department of Health, Department of Human Services, and Economic Development to go after pots of money that, are dedicated to reducing crime or increasing health outcomes, because we know if we mitigate blight, we have that impact on communities. In the State House, I was able to pass a bill called Whole Home Repairs. That's going to bring $13 million to this county to repair homes for low to moderate income people, create good paying jobs, and reduce our overall energy use. It's that kind of creativity and drive and collaboration across political ideology, bringing together businesses and activists that can help us think creatively about how we address some of our greatest challenges, including blight. As far as increasing the supply of affordable housing, we have great organizations like the City of Bridges Community Land Trust and Level that are really already doing this work. They're going to need a partner in the county exec's office who understands this issue and how to connect all the dots.
Okay, our next question is about code enforcement, because we believe that code enforcement is a local government's first line of defense against blight, but it's important for all communities. In order to help towns, we formed a code enforcement collaborative, and our COGs developed Code Enforce, an open source platform to help individual communities pool resources and information about bad actors. We have a real problem with LLCs in our communities. So this is going to help towns across municipal boundaries work together. Maybe Mr. Parker understands, like if you've ever been involved in software development, it is not for the faint of heart, I've learned. It is really difficult, but we are getting it done through the support of our state legislators, thank goodness. But it also bridges the digital divide between well-resourced communities and communities that struggle financially. What's your philosophy about code enforcement, and what is the county's role in supporting individual municipalities to do it? Because even though we formed a code enforcement collaborative at the Turtle Creek Valley COG, there are still towns that can't afford to join it. Thank you. And we're going to start with Mr. Parker.
Okay, you're talking code. That's my name. That's my game because I'm in the tech. So it's all about the way things are framed. We need to make sure that people in our communities who live in these communities understand the role of code enforcement officers. We need, and we have to make sure that our code enforcement officers approach their job with just passion. Like they need to know that what they're doing is important for the area. I know that there may be a lot of backlash from, like you said, LLCs or people or entities who don't want their property to be subject to code enforcement, but we need to build that relationship, and we need to make sure that everybody is on the same, or has the same agenda to make the community better. And once we get everybody on the same page, I believe that a lot of the code enforcement can go smoother, because it's all in the betterment of everybody and the people in the communities.
So thank you. I'll break it into two parts. First off, you said there's communities that can't afford the ability to manage the code enforcement, right? And you can't buy can't join the shared services. Thank you. So you know, first off, it begins with, you know, the people who are violating codes are violating it in your community and other communities, right? It's the LLCs, it's the individual owners who are renting, who are creating environments that aren't appropriate for people to live in. And so you need a county-wide assessment and understanding of the code problem, which means you need a county-wide tool that crosses barriers, you know, I can own the property on this side of the corner and the other side of the street and violate a code over here, and then I come buy the next property. You need a county-wide system to understand where an individual has violated code before you let them buy the next property. And you need to hold them accountable where they have violated code in one place to fix it, and not allow them to jump somewhere else, sell that property, jump somewhere else, and buy another property and then violate code. So code enforcement needs to be at a county-wide view. Even if the individual enforcers are local, the information needs to flow up so we can hold the property owners, the landlords, accountable so that they deliver on what they're supposed to be doing, just giving a quality facility for someone and their family to live in.
I would definitely be in favor of creating a countywide code enforcement department that would assist municipalities in any way, shape, or form that they would need. There's nothing more important than safety and code enforcement. Every municipality has issues. Every municipality has landlords. Every municipality needs help, and the county should be in a position where we are able to offer that. If it's a countywide code enforcement department, well, let's make it work. If a municipality can't afford to participate, the county can help. This is not just about throwing resources at it. This is about giving people the opportunity to participate. And the county can be able to do that. And the relationship with the municipalities that we have and we've built for the past 25 years will enable this to help and work very, very well. Enforcement is so important because if properties are not coded properly or enforced, they can be damaging and people can get hurt. We've seen where people had parties on their decks in their backyard because the building inspection was never approved and the deck fell down and people got hurt. There's so many things that can happen. Fire as well. So it's all about public safety when it comes to code enforcement. And I would be in favor of supporting that from a countywide basis.
I think the countywide ideas are good. I told you before, that I'm a lawyer, and I've had a career holding people accountable, holding corporations accountable, holding big organizations accountable where they don't do things that are required by the law. And so one thing that I've learned is that accountability means there's got to be repercussions when you don't follow the law. And here, when you apply the resources, you shouldn't have applied, and there's folks that aren't complying with law, the LLCs, you can't have, you have to have real repercussions. And you have to do that vigilantly, and that's something that I've done my whole career and would do as county executive. And I think that when I talked earlier about, as a trial lawyer, what do? You're tough and you fight when you have to. You negotiate and concede when it's necessary. But for the bad actors, the people that aren't taking care of their properties and are making money doing it, there has to be repercussions, and that's something I would bring to the table. You got to hold that stick and have a carrot at the same time. So it's all about enforcement. and remedies and repercussions.
As we explore code enforcement, we need to make sure that we're doing it equitably. Those who own properties and rent them out to individuals, I believe there should be a rental registry, because macro trends are showing that more investment funds are purchasing properties, and these are the faceless LLCs that you're not able to get in contact with. And we need to be able to track every owner of a building, because when we don't, it negatively impacts the quality of life of the residents around that building and can reduce property values. As the county executive, I would like to be able to offer technology and different resources that will help us modernize the way we're doing code enforcement, so that the cost burden doesn't fall individually on the COGs or the individual municipality. And also from the other perspective of a business owner, if they're looking to do upgrades to their resident or Main Street storefront, then we can design a one-stop shop at the county and make sure that we're ushering people through the process so it is seamless.
So let's recognize our municipal autonomy, right? We all have our own municipalities and we have this autonomy. The idea is to try to create a system where service delivery is not relevant, that makes those boundaries less relevant. Creating a county-wide code enforcement office doesn't make sense. The county has no authority to enforce these municipal codes. The idea behind the Office of Municipal Partnership that I'm talking about is to help municipalities through these problems, to deal with the standardization of data across municipalities, to deal with the standardization of codes across municipalities, so that we can create an actual code, or at least collate all the existing borough and township codes and city codes, so that we can have one place where we can see what the codes are. And so that we can, as a county, we can help drive economic development by helping people coming in to want to do work and business in these communities, what those codes are and what those requirements are. But again, standardization of data across municipalities, working with our code enforcement, potentially, hopefully creating a senior judgeship position in each of our regions, so that there'd be a place to go to fight these code violations across the county and enforce the code. Again, it's not a county function, it's a municipal function, but it's a function where the county can play a role in helping municipalities get to what they need to do.
Thank you. Sticking with the topic of service delivery, and to kind of provide a little bit of a context, the Tri-COG Land Bank and the code enforced programs that Amanda just spoke about were created by our two COGs as a response to need. I think that has demonstrated the power of a council of governments to address problems regionally, but it has also demonstrated, I don't know how to diplomatically say this, Amanda set me up for this, the failure of Allegheny County to act and to support. Unfortunately, in our system, COGs are funded by our members. The members we've been talking about are the ones that are most impacted by tax delinquency, blighted properties, crime, etc. So in a county where we have 43 school districts and 130 municipalities, to me, COGs make sense. We would like to hear what your thoughts are about the role of COGs, what you think the role of Allegheny County should be in encouraging intermunicipal cooperation through COGs or separate. And then also, lastly, For my entire 20-year career, our COGs have received $7,500 from the county budget. Do you believe that that is a legitimate amount of funding from a county with, Treasurer Weinstein, help me, what's the budget? $3 billion, $7,500 per COG. So with that, I pass it to Joe Rocky. Thank you, Mr. Rocky.
Okay, well, I'll take the easy one first. No, $7,500 is not enough. And what we're trying to do is have good municipal leadership and good municipal execution. We talked earlier about the fact that certain municipalities are struggling with their tax base, and the COGs coming together help that. But Allegheny County and the global county needs to come in and support it. And, you know, as Michael said, the county may not have the purview to do certain things today. That's what the county executive's job is to do, to change that purview. The county executive should be coming in, and if I just jump back to the prior example, we need to set up a common code. We need to set up a way to manage and understand what's happening in that code. That's how we support the COGs. We understand what matters most to the COGs, and at the county level, we take global solutions that get implemented in the COGs. So we don't take the authority away from the COGs. We don't take the execution away from the COGs. What we take is the burden of the administration away from the COGs, and we build consistency. Earlier the conversation was the standards in this particular area might be less because the tax base is less. That's not right. We should not have a lower standard in one part of our county than another part of our county. It is the job of the county executive to make sure everybody has the same opportunity and the same standard of living.
The first part of the last part of your question about the funding is an abysmal disgrace for the COGs to be funded at that level. There are 7 COGs in Allegheny County, and I took the initiative to meet with all 7 of the COGs together. I believe I might have been the only first candidate to do that. I took the time to spend with the COGs. And I think the next county executive should empower the 7 COGs and should be a partnership so that every aspect of what they do on a daily basis to represent all the municipalities in this county, the county is involved with that from day one. I will empower the COGs. I will work with the COGs, not just staff-wise, but personally, because I'm all invested with municipalities. This is the backbone of Allegheny County, and the COGs need funded properly. They need the administrative aspect and any help that the county can give them. And I clearly articulated that when we met with the COGs. I am 1,000% in favor of increasing the allocation and the relationship that the county has with all of our COGs to help all of our municipalities.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Our COGs perform a really super important function. Let's look at the reality of it. You're funded by municipalities, and when there were increases in the size of COGs and more participation, it didn't always work out, right? Because sometimes we're getting the same amount or less than what was happening when there was individuals in smaller groups. So look, this is all about a fair system and greater application of resources. So you shouldn't be penalized by having a COG and expanding that COG, which is really what's happened. And I agree with all the comments. That is up to the county executive to address and correct. It's a whole other subject, but it's the same, very similar to our school system here. Thank God we have court rulings that say our disparate treatment and unfair low state funding of our school systems is unconstitutional. I mean, that's the kind of thing the county executive needs to understand and explain and work to change. And it's the same dynamic in the COGs.
means that we're collaborating with elected leaders, with community-based organizations, with residents with lived experience. And the COGs are a necessary function in being able to deliver co-governance and ensure that we're respecting the diversity that exists across municipalities in this county. And also they're a mechanism to ensure that we can gather the wisdom that exists across this county and make sure that it's informing decisions that are being made at a county level. We absolutely need to increase the funding for COGs so that they have more administrative capacity and can hire more staff. I would like to have quarterly meetings with all the leadership of the COG and make sure that there is a member from the county exec's office present at COG meetings. I would like to create an office of community outreach so that folks have we can have a two-way dialogue between the county exec's office and the work that you're doing in municipalities. We can also look at what makes sense for the county to administer and allow COGs and municipalities to opt in, but that needs to come from all of your voices.
I believe that $7,500 allocation was originally proposed by one of my mentors, Tom Forster. That's how far back that goes. And as a lot of you know, Commissioner Forster was totally committed to the COGs, and he would be appalled to know that we're still at that number, so obviously that number's got to change in a big way. But also get back to his other great idea, which was the bus trips that we did to all the COGs, and getting out into visit the communities that were part of all of these COGs. Is something that we need to do. The idea of the Council of Government is what inspired me to create the Congress of Neighboring Communities, which is now basically the city's COG. Working with our municipal partners on issues important to the urban core of this region, and really finding new ways to deliver services across municipal boundaries. But let's not get beyond the point here. The fact of the matter is we are a conglomeration of autonomous communities. And our local governments need to be able to make their own communities. Forcing down a countywide code is not the right answer. We got to be able to have our municipalities make their own decisions about what the building code in their community should be. Sure, we should collate that code so that we know what those codes are. But taking that authority away from our local governments is not something I support.
So I believe the role of the COGs is to address blight, to get property back on the tax base, and take care of areas like infrastructure and abandoned properties. We need to make sure also that we, as on the county level, give them the funding that they need to advertise these COGs, because there's a lot of people out here that are unaware of the work that these COGs do, and unaware of the property that these COGs facilitate. We need to do a better job at promoting these COGs and the services that they provide. That has to be top. We need to run ads, we need to put out flyers. That $7,500 that's going to these COGs is unacceptable. From my understanding, one member to join the COG is like $4,500. And that's almost $7,500 right there. But why is that? That's what we got to ask ourselves. Why is that? Why are these areas receiving so less of a funding? Or they betting on this area to lose? It's like the war to have and have nots, or they trying to shift crime to this area. I don't know. We need to address it. We need to figure it out. We need to get the community involved, make sure nobody's left behind, and support our cause.
Thank you. I know we've been at this for a while. We have 3 questions left. If you're okay with that, we'll keep rolling and see how far we get. But our next question, we'll start with Mr. Weinstein. And so our footprint has a disproportionate number of large post-industrial sites that haven't been modernized or updated. The last major cross-municipal success in our footprint was the waterfront, which was more than 20 years ago. Movement on the Cary Furnace has taken decades. The development along 2nd Avenue in the city of Pittsburgh stops at the city line. RIDC and Duquesne's full build-out has never been realized, and the former Westinghouse site in Churchill is idle. What is your strategy for the development of large post-industrial sites in our footprint?
Well, the first strategy would be applying it even countywide, and would definitely benefit the Mon Valley and the area we're talking about. This is about relocating businesses to our region. This is about making things easy for businesses to come here. You know, in the last 5 years, Allegheny County has lost 50,000 jobs. We had the highest job loss of any county in Pennsylvania. That's not a record that we should be very proud of. And that is the entire county. Out of all 67 counties in Pennsylvania, in fact, Ohio even beat us in terms of the job loss. And if we could make the areas ready, shovel ready for development, we can market that. We have to be able to market the region. That's what the role of the county executive is the chief marketing agent for Western Pennsylvania. To be able to go out and cultivate business relationships and bring them to Allegheny County and Western Pennsylvania. And find out what companies need. What is your needs? And how we can expedite things to help them through the red tape process of permitting and expedite that so that they're ready to move to Allegheny County. We're ready to have them move to Allegheny County.
Can I talk a little longer on this so I get the option to do that? Did I see that in the rules that you could take up? Oh, no? I misread that. Okay, I'm stuck with my minute and a half. Hey, with these industrial, post-industrial sites, the thing that I talked to you a little bit about now, I'm going to take a minute to explain, is this countywide riverfront park concept. It's really big, it's transformative. And when I was on the county council, ordinances were passed, empowering the countywide create a park that would be a park that would run along one side or the other of every major river with bridge connections. And at the time I said, well, maybe that's a $100 million investment. No, it isn't. It's a $500, $600 million investment. And look, this would cause a resurgence of revitalization of all these towns. Now, when they built the waterfront, it was great at the time, but they weren't thinking big picture. And if you look down and you think, well, wow, we could connect all these towns. We could commute along our riverfronts with not trails, but real bikeways. You can get everywhere from place to place on. You know, that's the kind of thing where we take advantage of our natural advantages, our rivers, our green hills, and have connectivity. Do you know how cool and trendy it would be up and down all these riverfront towns to be able to live and get around everywhere by bicycle? And you know what that would do? That would attract businesses and young people, which is what we need. So it's an idea that I don't even follow the timelines on, because once you get going on it, it's hard to stop. It's a great transformative idea. Be glad to talk to you all later about it.
So we've had discussions with the business community throughout the region. Right now there are thousands of open positions where they're not able to hire enough folks. And what that means, even though we've stabilized our population, we are not growing when it comes to my generation and younger. So we need to think about economic, not just on the large scale, but as a quality of life issue for people throughout this county. So it must include the county investing in our main streets and our small businesses, in our arts and culture, in our public assets like parks and trails and rivers. And I sit on the board for the Urban Redevelopment Authority in the city. We have good ideas. We know what programs we can deploy through Allegheny County Department of Economic Development that can support these types of initiatives and make sure that we're attracting and retaining young people. But we also have a plan for those big developments as well. I have a plan, Made Clean in America. We are living in a moment where we have an unprecedented amount of federal dollars available to us for green and sustainable manufacturing. So we can work with folks like EOS that's in Turtle Creek and make sure they can hire their 500 people that they want to hire in partnership with the county.
Ideas and plans are great, but it's always about the execution. You know, we have to be able to get things done. Creation of a River Cities Authority, a River Communities Authority, developing a loan fund, or a revolving development fund that would allow us to actually get into some of these sites. And we do need sites to market. We need to be able to create shovel-ready projects. But it's not about incentivizing companies to come here. It's really about investing in our communities in ways to create the kind of environment where people want to live, where companies want to locate and do business. That's the whole idea around creating this River Communities Authority, so that we can make those kind of investments. You know, economic development in these communities is important, but as we think about it, we've got to think about it how you do it across municipalities. Right now, we have all this great work that gets done in our colleges and our universities, and they're coming out with these new technologies, but the first hurdle they come into is they don't have a place to do prototype development. A lot of these sites, from Braddock all the way down to here in Eastwood, across the River Clarendon, back up to Homestead, we could be creating sites for prototype development, for first stage manufacturing, and for advanced manufacturing, and that's the kind of development that we need to put forward.
So, I would suggest, you know, I have a lot of ideas, a whole lot of ideas. So, you know, one of my things is with these properties is to create something there that's never been done, never been done before at all. You know, there's never been a black car, someone who's developed and manufactured a black-owned car at all. Let's bring that to the region. Maybe that might get people's attention. Maybe we could do something. We need to do something different to retain and sustain jobs here. But all of my ideas I could come up with, and I could mention them and I could say it, but I want to get this crowd laughing. I want to know, what answers do you have? Anybody got an answer? Anybody have a suggestion? I want to hear from the audience. Because it starts there. It starts in our communities, and we can't be afraid to put our suggestions out there. So if anyone has a suggestion, I would like to hear it. Okay, we got to work on that. But we just got to do something that's never been done to retain and sustain jobs here. And I'm all for it. Bring your ideas to me. Let's make it happen. Thank you.
So, you know, there's a consistent theme here. This is about jobs. And the question is, how are you going to get the jobs? And I will tell you, we live in a very unique time. All of you remember the pandemic. All of you remember the situation where the Port of Long Beach and the Port of Los Angeles had ships backed up because they couldn't get the supply chain into the United States. Western Pennsylvania is uniquely qualified for the onshoring that is going to come in the next 4 to 8 years. And the county executive you have is going to be the key to bring those jobs to Western Pennsylvania. It requires us to use the resources we have in this county, starting with the people, starting with those land spots that you're talking about, to make them ready so that a company that wants to bring business into the United States, to have things made in the United States, that they can come and have a place to start. It also includes using the water we have in abundance and using the energy we have in abundance. It is critical, not just for Allegheny County, but for the world, that we capitalize on making things here with clean energy as opposed to allowing them to be made in China with coal. And so the opportunity for the county executive is to go sell that across the country to the corporations that are bringing their supply chains back, and to bring into Western Pennsylvania the jobs that used to be here before.
Thank you. So the next next question sort of builds a little bit on that theme. We are sitting probably nearly in the heart of the post-industrial legacy of Allegheny County. We are the poster child of the Rust Belt. However, there's an important balance, I think, between jobs and the environment. Our communities really, truly are where the rubber meets the road. We desperately need jobs. We have heavy environmental impacts. And many of the proposals we've heard today also speak to industry. In our county, as a second-class county, we have a health department that has a lot more power than other places across the state because of our status as a second-class county. That health department has the authority and the responsibility to govern environmental impacts. How would you balance that sensitivity between jobs, asbestos remediation, lead remediation, heavy metal impact, and the additional cost that brings with the need for these communities to redevelop and flourish? So with this question, we will start with Mr. Fawcett.
Great. So it's critical that you walk the line and that you realize that we need to be environmentally sound and minimize pollution. At the same time, you have to be sensitive to the cost. And we've had people talk about, oh, well, you could have the greatest green coke ovens in the world here. Well, that would be hundreds of millions of dollars. So you need to be sensitive to that sort of thing. Now, what I said before is I think you've got to be tough when you have to be tough. And so and you have to negotiate out solutions at the same time. So if we're going to name names and be specific, U.S. Steel, you've got to be tough. They make a lot of money here, and you've got to work to enforce the law, but you can't have a health department causing lots of jobs. And so you need to negotiate out a solution. And yes, you need to have air pollution equipment, and you need U.S. Steel to invest in it, and you need to hold your feet to the fire. And if they're not being reasonable, you bring action. But if you negotiate hard and work out good solutions, now you're walking the line and in the right way. And I think that's really super important. And the question is, who has the ability to do that?
So jobs in the environment are not a zero-sum game. We can have both. And it starts with good enforcement from our Department of Health. Right now, we do not have the workforce in that department. So the next county executive is going to have to think about how they're creating a pipeline so that we can hire up people who have the technical skills and know-how, but also the pay and a good work environment to want to stay at the Department of Health so that they can enforce our air permitting. Clean jobs are a growing industry, and we need to be able to capitalize on that as a region because we are equipped with the people, the infrastructure, and the sites to be really competitive nationally to draw down those federal dollars. I've declared that I would like U.S. Steel or the greenest manufacturing steel-making facility to be here in Allegheny County. U.S. Steel just invested $500 million in Arkansas on a new type of steel manufacturing using electric arc ovens that's going to create the steel to build cars. We need to be able to do that here. Our second source of pollution outside of industrial is transportation. so we need to invest in public transit, in transit-oriented development to reduce our reliance on cars and reduce emissions in that sector as well.
I heard someone earlier tonight promoting the fact that college kids leave Pittsburgh. That's just a fact. Young people like to move around. The problem that we have is not that our college kids don't stay here. The problem we have is that we can't attract college kids from around the country for this to be their destination. And a big part of that is because when you're deciding where you're going to go, are you going to go to a place where you're multiple times more likely to develop asthma and other lung and breathing related diseases because of the quality of the air here? That's got to change. The health department's got to be better at enforcing this, and not just in leveling fines that are just basically pay to pollute. We've got to have remedial action. Got remedial action around cleaner air. We have right here in Allegheny County the energy department labs out in Broughton who have already developed scrubbers for the old coal-fired power plants. Those could be redesigned and redeveloped in ways to help clean our air around the industries that we have right now. Those are the kind of things we have to be thinking about. And right, it is a lot of money. But we've got to talk to our polluters. We've got to get them to the table to talk about these issues. And hey, if the public has to kick in, I'm prepared to do that. I'm prepared to support that kind of investment in clean air here in Allegheny County.
Our environment is big. It's all about health. Ain't nothing happening unless we're all healthy. The properties have to be healthy too. We need to make sure, that's another thing when it comes to code enforcement. We need our health department being able to check out some of these blight properties and make sure they don't have landmines. Make sure that they don't have mold that's coming up through the air vents. We can do things on the county level to make sure that people have what they need to balance out what's important when it comes to our health concerns, from the air quality that's coming from these pollutants, and we just need to do a better job at making sure we get more people involved so they can keep track of what's going on. Develop some type of data, some type of technology system that keeps track of all of the health concerns within these communities. Thank you.
So it's an absolute fact that the health of every Allegheny County resident is paramount and most important for what we should be focused on. And having a strong Allegheny County Health Department is critical to doing that. And holding the businesses that do business here accountable for the standards and the regulations is also part of that. But honestly, the number one thing we can do for the health of Allegheny County residents is have prosperity. Everybody knows that when you have a prosperous environment, people are healthier. And so to get jobs, we have got to build and get ourselves ready and bring business here. That doesn't mean we let people come here and do things that are inappropriate, but we have to be a welcoming environment who want to have corporations come and do business here so we can have the prosperity that brings better health. It goes without saying that those who have prosperity tend to be healthier than those who don't, because one, they can afford to go to the doctor. They have time to do the exercising they want to do. So as we move forward, make sure we have a strong health department, make sure everybody in Allegheny County has access to it, but also make sure we are welcoming to jobs and employment. And the only way to do that is then to hold them accountable once they're here and put all the pieces together.
In the question, when you asked it, you talked about the difficulty of finding the balance between protecting the environment and protecting jobs, especially in the Mon Valley. And I think that is paramount to what we're talking about. We have to have a county executive that's willing to do whatever they need to do to protect our environment. Protecting the environment is just not air quality outside. It's air quality inside. I've been talking about this for the past couple of months. concerned just about the old infrastructure that we have in Allegheny County. We have old schools, we have old buildings, we have old infrastructure everywhere. And infrastructure is not just roads and bridges. We need to address the air quality inside and out, and it's also water quality. We need to make sure that our water is at the highest level that it can for our children and our grandchildren and for all of us to enjoy for the next 100 years in this region. So I will find that balance. I'll be able to sit down and work with the business community and with the health department, strengthening the health department to make sure that we're providing the protection that we need to under law and making sure our environment is the best that it possibly can be.
Thank you. We have one more question, but I'm going to pose this to you because we are running over. Do you want to take the last question? It's about senior housing, but it's going to get on for a little bit late. Is everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Or do you want to sum up in the last question as well? Let's do both. Okay, so this will be answering the last question and doing your summary. So we would have 2 minutes on the clock for each.
You're trying to plan?
Yes.
I think they want to do those separate.
Oh, you want to do them separate? Okay. I'm sorry.
Let's get something.
Before leaving. Okay. So is everybody okay with doing this together?
I'm okay with that.
Okay, we can do it together.
Okay, all right, let's do that. Okay, so this is our final question. It's about affordable housing, especially for seniors. What's your approach to making sure our residents, and especially our seniors, have a place to call home? And with that, we're back to Ms. Allen.
Thank you for that question. So I have led on housing policy in the State House, and as county executive, one of the first things I want to do is create a housing for all plan that looks at how we can actually address issues of homelessness, how we encourage home ownership, but also how do we make sure we care for our seniors and make sure that they can age in their home or in their community. And what that's going to involve is a two-part process. One is deploying the whole home repair bill, which I wrote and passed in a Republican majority as a Democrat. That's going to provide money for seniors so they can modify their homes and make sure they're living on a high quality of life in the house that they're currently in. And the other part is going to involve our economic development, working in partnership with the Department of Human Services and Department of Health, where we're building housing in communities so seniors can maybe move out of their homes that are too big for them into a place where they still have all of their social connections. So that's great for having a high quality of life. Running for county executive, I have big ideas. Things like housing, the Make Clean in America plan, and drawing down $30 million that the county is currently leaving on the table to invest in quality human services that can help us combat gun violence in our youth population. It can deliver quality mental health services, and the like. We have a lot of work to do, and we can't do it unless we're working together, and unless all of you are at the table, and there's a two-way dialogue between the county and the work that you're doing at a municipal level. We mentioned earlier prosperity, and prosperity means that it's automatically good for everyone. We have reports that say 30% of households in Allegheny County do not live paycheck to paycheck. So as county executive, I want to be intentional at ensuring that prosperity is shared across municipal boundaries. So thank you. I look forward to talking more.
So I remember when my parents made the decision they needed to downsize. They were in the big house that we were in, and they decided to go to a smaller place. And they were able to do that. And fortunately, they were able to find a place that was, walking community. And my father used to like to walk and get through the community. It was safe. And that was their option. That was what they chose. There may be other options. There are some people who are going to want to stay in their home. We got to find a way to fund the retrofit or whatever they need to keep them safe. In some cases, you're going to have people who want to be in the high rise. And our county housing authority has to do a better job of recognizing that and making those placements available. We've seen too many times across this county in our housing authority properties that were developed and designed as senior housing, where they're moving non-seniors into that housing. They're moving people in there that really shouldn't be there or weren't intended to be there in the first place. So we've got to make sure that we've got adequate housing opportunities at every stage, but for seniors in particular, giving them the choice of housing and the options that they want. And we can do that with funding that is available here in Allegheny County. So I want to take just a minute now and thank you very much for having us out here. You know, we started this campaign talking about a lot of issues, but when it comes to what's going on within our municipalities, I put forward this plan for our Office of Municipal Partnership, but it's also, and we talk a lot about investing in our communities and investing in ourselves, investing in ways that create the kind of opportunities for affordable housing, for transit opportunities, for the transit-oriented development that includes affordable housing, but not just by relocating people into your community, but having each community have say in how that housing works so that they get the opportunity to take advantage of that as well. And investing in ourselves also means investing in our young people. That's why I created the Allegheny Achievers Program, which is going to allow every high school graduate in Allegheny County to go to community college for free. We know it can be a game changer for Allegheny County. We got to invest in us. It's a win-win for us, and that's what I want. I want us to win. Thank you very much.
Access is the key for seniors. I want to stand on that. I want to stand on access for seniors, access to the hospital, access to parks, access to recreation, access to facilities. You know, this is important. Seniors, they've already put in their work and fighting for the necessities. It shouldn't be up to them. It should be up to the young people like me. We got to go to war. We got to get the things that you need right now. You know, this is too much red tape. I'm here to cut that red tape. I'm here to make sure you have access to everything you need, housing, groceries, everything that you need. But like I said, we need someone young. We need someone with energy who's ready to put in that work on day one and make sure you come first. I have a mother. I'm glad she's still alive. I still have my grandmother. Glad she's still alive. And I would go to the end of earth and make sure that I'm able to provide for them. And I would do the same thing for you, for all of you in here, because that's just how my heart works. I don't discriminate. I want everybody to increase their quality of life. So I thank you for coming out here today. You know, I want to end with this. Allegheny County is more than just Pittsburgh. There's 130 municipalities who make us who we are. When important decisions are made, the next county exec has to understand who they will affect. Under my administration, no one will be left behind. It's time for brave new leadership. You deserve someone that really cares and will stand up and go to war for you and make sure you're defended against tax increases, special interests, and inflation. Right now, we're all in the same race. And that's why I'm not asking for your vote because of the color of my skin. I'm asking for your vote because of the burning desire that I have within to make this county work for all of us. Together we will invest in our communities and quality of life. Together we will fix our problems. And together we will build a safe and clean, livable and lovable place that we can all proudly call home. My name is William Parker, and I'm ready to deliver for each and every one of you.
That's a hard act to follow. Hey, so, you know, the first part of this question is about affordable housing. And, you know, it is a fact that the vast majority of affordable housing begins with the Affordable Housing Tax Credit, which is a federally funded program. Sadly, the United States from the late 90s all the way up to the teens did not advance that program. I had a conversation with Sheila Baird, who was the former head of the FDIC, back in 2012, and specifically asked why, as a country, when we know affordable housing is a problem, do we refuse to expand the affordable housing tax credit, which is the basis for new building of affordable housing. This community needs affordable housing. Every community needs affordable housing. So the one thing I would ask you to do is push your state representatives, push your federal representatives to make sure that they're pushing that the next budget increases the affordable housing tax credit so more affordable housing is built everywhere in this country, starting here. And then secondly, in our communities, what we need to do is fight for our share of it. The affordable housing tax credits are mostly implemented through the large banks, and candidly, at one point in my life, the community development part of PNC reported to me. That is something that Allegheny County needs. We need someone who knows how it works. We need someone who knows how community development works. And my experience in doing that, doing transactions around this country where PNC sits, including Western Pennsylvania, will come to your community if I happen to be your county executive. So affordable housing is critical. We need people who can actually go execute the building of new property, particularly for our seniors. And in closing, let me just say, first off, thank you for having me. To all my panelists, thank you for the insights and what you've shared tonight. I would just end by saying that, 63 years ago, John F. Kennedy stood not a couple hundred yards from where we stand, and he, as he was running for president, talked about prosperity and strength. And that's what Allegheny County needs. We are an extremely strong-willed group of people. We deserve the prosperity that all the hard work that we put in, that our forefathers put in, and that our children will put in to make this county great. And that is my mission.
Let's talk about senior housing, which is the premise of the question. And I'm dedicated and committed to expanding the opportunities for senior housing. And it needs to be safe, it needs to be conveniently located, and it needs to be affordable, obviously. Those are the primary functions for senior housing. And to partner with the county to be able to do that. I'm committed to working with the COGs, I'm committed to working with municipalities and with developers that are specialists in building senior facilities. We need more of them in Allegheny County. We need more opportunities for seniors to live in their golden years and feel safe. Public safety is a huge issue for me. I started talking about that earlier. Allegheny County needs to feel safe. The city of Pittsburgh needs to feel safe. There's too much crime going on. The county needs to use resources to be able to do that. This campaign is about experience. Who can walk into the county executive's office tomorrow and understand the dynamics of the entire operation? We have 7,500 employees in Allegheny County. 400 miles of roads, 500 bridges, 10,000 acres of parks. All of the various departments that we operate every day, and the budget process. I understand all of that because I've been doing it along with the executives, and I was there when we had county commissioners in Allegheny County. I understand county government. I'm committed to continue the operation of providing services to the residents that we do. Every day, people take county services for granted. On many of the roads you drove here tonight are county-owned roads. A facility that you eat in is inspected by the health department. The county is an integral part of the day-to-day life, and I understand that immensely. I'm ready to do the job as county executive tomorrow. I don't need to be trained. I'm dedicated and committed, and I thank everyone for coming out tonight, especially Amanda and Ann for setting this up. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, I thank all of you too. I'm glad you're here and learning about the candidates. I think that's awesome. We have a lot of great ideas, and we've heard a lot tonight. Let's be real. This region, your area, our riverfronts have been through hell. You're still going through hell. But you know, we're at a crossroads. We're in a place where we can say, where do we want to be in 10 and 15 and 20 years? And we have great challenges, but we have great opportunities. We can be things that really we want to be, and we can make it happen. This region, number one, can be an innovation hub. They estimate that the jobs coming out of the Innovation Center and the robotics industry is going to be 10 to 12 times what the jobs were in the auto industry at its prime. We're losing those jobs right now to Columbus and Cincinnati and Rochester, New York. We can't lose them. We need to fight to keep them here. So when you hear about pad-ready sites, and we also need the investment dollars here, and all those things, the county executive needs to be fundamentally attuned to them. At the same time, we can build on our natural advantages. We can be a beacon of sustainability. Yes, the use and manufacture of alternative energy. Yes, a countywide riverfront park. Yes, to anything that allows a resurgence of our many communities up and down our rivers, the Allegheny, the Mon, the Ohio, the Allegheny. We can make it happen. And that's why I'm running for county executive. And I'm the person that's going to get it done. I've been talking about these things for years. And again, I'm not a career politician, but I've gotten things done throughout my career. And here again, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get the job done. So thanks again for having us here and listening to us and being so patient. It's really great. I look forward to talking to you more, and thank you again.
So just in closing, I wanted to just thank our panelists for giving up a piece of their evening. I know you guys have very busy schedules. I've seen you out and about town quite a bit. But I also wanted to take a minute and acknowledge everybody who has attended. Most, if not all of you, are elected officials or appointed officials in your communities. I say this at every annual dinner, and I'm going to say it now. I have the utmost respect for your dedication, your passion, your volunteerism, your time for your communities. Hopefully, we've done a good job of queuing up some of the significant issues this evening affecting your communities and giving you an opportunity to hear from what will presumably be the next leader of Allegheny County. So I want to encourage folks to take a minute, talk to the candidates some more if you'd like to. If you're ready to go, it sounds like we're having some nasty weather out there. You might want to find a friend with an umbrella. So thank you so much for coming. The candidates, if you guys could stay for a photograph before you leave the stage, that would be great.
Bring them right down front.
What? Oh, right down in front, you can say. Okay, thank you.
Right up front, please. And come in a little bit. Ann and Amanda, can you come in the middle, please?
And everyone, if we can tighten up a little bit, please.
Think about one step in. I'll let this go professional. All right, I'll let the most expensive cameras answer whether you got it or not. Right, thanks.